respect to the board's action, reimbursement to the town for such services shall occur at the cost and be guaranteed in the amount established by the Board of Appeals through an escrow account. Section 2, Chapter 128. The town code is amended as follows. If one or more engineering, legal, planning, technical, or environmental consultants are considered necessary by the Zoning Board of Appeals in making an informed decision on the application, or by the Planning Board in providing all recommendation with respect to the board's action, reimbursement to the board for such services shall occur at the cost and be guaranteed on the amount established by the Board of Appeals through an escrow account. Section 3. Local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the state Secretary of State. Resolved that the town clerk shall file a certified original of this law in the office of the town clerk, and one certified copy in the office of the Secretary of State of New York, such certified copy that have attached thereto a certificate executed by the attorney for the town of Unionville that it contains the correct text and all proper proceedings have been had or taken for the enactment of the local law. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Or actually, let's take a roll call vote.
Okay, Supervisor Moss?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly?
Yes.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Welch?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The resolution passes. Local law number 2, thank you. Now, we'd like to approve the minutes from the March 15th meeting. Everybody got a copy of those earlier. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 15th minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous vote to pass to approve the minutes from March 15th. Thank you. As far as the supervisor's report, there was some cash flow statements outside, and all the town board members have certainly gotten them. It's just for the first quarter, I mean, we show January, February, and this is the month of March. We've collected $4.5 million in taxes, and I just wanted to point out there's some large sums of money here. For example, in the month of March is when we paid the fire district $866,641. And we also paid the highway department $734,729. So while we collect a lot, we also give a lot away. We've had a good first quarter from the perspective. Now, you know, lots of vouchers are in flux and bills come in. You know, some come in after the deadline or after the end of the month. But for the first quarter, I think we look strong, and so far we're at 81% of the budget from an expense standpoint. So we're like $359,000 below what our budgeted expenses were for the first quarter. So everything might hit in April, I don't know. But we're 81% of our budget, and we're also at 122% of our net income. So we're moving in the right direction. We're keeping our expenses down, and our income is coming. It's first quarter. We've got lots of things can happen, but hopefully we keep moving in this direction. So it looks good.
How about the county? We were supposed to give them money, right?
Well, yeah. I will report on that at the next month because we gave it to them on the 1st of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So because technically that was April 1st.
All right.
At the end of April, I will tell you we paid the county
Okay. All right.
$1.5 million. So, but yes, they got paid and they're very happy.
All right, as long as they're happy.
Yeah, we want to keep the county happy. There are a few things I just wanted to go over. For those of you on Unionville Mail, I send out some supervisor comments in Unionville Mail so you can read this stuff, so I won't go over it too much here. But we are continuing our progress on policy manuals, which I'll let the councilmen that are involved with the next 2 that are up talk about that. As you guys know, we finished 2. We're in the works on 2 more, and then we'll have about 4 or 5 more behind that. So we're going to be working on policy manuals for the year, it looks like, to get them right and to get us all set up. But that work continues, and I think I'm really pleased with the progress because they're good policy manuals. We're putting a lot of thought into it. So Also wanted to give you an update on the LED lighting. You've heard, believe you've heard us talking here a couple of times that we had a contract that the board wasn't aware of, the town board was not aware of, that we had a 12.5% interest rate on it for financing an LED lighting project. And it was a surprise, but we, once we realized that there was an interest rate of 12.5%, we bought out the contract in the month of March so that we could avoid paying the 12.5% for the next 3 years. So by buying out that contract, we prepaid $15,500, and we saved the town $3,800 because we're not going to be paying that interest rate out, but we did take $15,500 out of the contingency fund, which is what it's for. So we took care of that and closed that financing contract down, which was good. The team here is really doing a great job. Our whole group is working hard to, research things that maybe haven't been looked at for a while, and one of them was our Verizon Wireless bill, and wondering why it was $460 a month, when municipalities have some benefits with Verizon Wireless. They get some lower rates on things, and we had a pretty high one for us, so we closed down 5 lines that we weren't using. We now have 5 lines left. We have a pool emergency line, which we're paying a flat rate of $11.99, but we want an emergency flip. It's really a flip phone out so that the lifeguards. It really is good for calling 911. And so that will be at the pool this summer. We have a recreation department phone, which is what the after-school instructors use and keep, so that kids that are in the after-school program, when the office closes, they can call right in. The supervisor has a phone, our building inspector has a phone, and our highway department has a phone. But all that being said, we closed out. We went from $460 a month to $222.95. So we're very pleased that we got that bill knocked down, and that was a big effort on behalf of everybody. Thank you, Andrea, for going around and collecting all the phones. We also worked on the FEMA contract that they had been working on diligently last year. There was one outstanding form that needed to be signed that we weren't aware of. We got that form signed, and this week we got $35,500 from FEMA, which was a reimbursement, a disaster reimbursement from that big storm from last year. So that was really great news. We were able to get those funds, and they're coming next week to interview us to see how we thought the whole process went. So that was a big success for the town. And that was a carryover from last year and this year, which is terrific. We are trying to round out, part of our policy manuals discussions will entail the employee manual, the handbook, which Karina is cheerleading for us. And we've got a lot of issues in that we have to make decisions about. And we're getting more HR help. But one of the things that when you read it, you realize is that we don't have, the municipality doesn't have a lot of benefits compared to what the outside world might have. But we are reintroducing a deferred compensation plan for everybody here. And all it is, it's a voluntary retirement plan, but it's another way where people can put money away on a tax-deferred basis. And because we don't have many benefits for our employees, it's another thing that they can do, and we're hoping that they'll take advantage of it. So that's something new that we're doing to take care of our, we have a terrific team here, so we want to do everything we can to keep them. The other update I wanted to give everybody was been working hard with Jessica Dickinson, excuse me, who's on vacation this week. And I wanted to let you know, she's got a lot of different, through the years, there have been a lot of different job titles and things down at the Recreation Center. So we've worked with the HR department, and we are trying to streamline everything. We now have 5 job titles for the summer. 2 of those job titles will carry over for the rest of the year. So down in our recreation department, we'll have camp directors, camp counselors, recreation leaders, a recreation assistant, and a lifeguard. And we used to seem to have 8 or 9, and it was kind of hard to know who was doing what. 2 of those titles will carry over. It's not that exciting for everybody to hear about, but for us, as from a management perspective and a payroll perspective, it helps streamline, and it's a smart way to set things up. So thank you to Jessica in absentia for being so cooperative in helping us get this done. So that's really about all that I wanted to cover. We've got a lot going on. I think now it'd be great if the board members want to comment on since we've got so much. I'll turn to Councilman Welsh first.
Okay. I've been working on part of the policy changes was developing an internet policy for the town, which will be part of our employee handbook. We've talked about it. We've had some input from members of the board, and we'll be finalizing that in the very near future. In addition, I've been working with the supervisor somewhat on getting a grant taken care of for our handicap accessibility down at the park. We won the grant last year. We're trying to finalize the final plan for the county to get our project into construction this summer, or right after summer, and get it done. So that's progress and work in being worked on. Also, we got a letter from the Dutchess County Office of the Aging. There will be the Dutchess County Senior Picnic for towns of Unionville, Dover, Pauling, and Amenia. It'll be on Wednesday, May 30th at Boyce Park over in Wingdale. There'll be food, entertainment, and music. Seniors will be receiving postcards, but this is just a heads up so you know all about it. It starts at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, May 30th. And one other thing that just came out actually today is a need to have a public hearing for the Stormwater Management Program's 4th annual draft report. They're requesting that we have a public hearing prior to June 1st. That would mean that we'd have to schedule it for our next meeting, which would be May 17th. So I'd like to make a motion that we have a public hearing, and I'm going to pass out the notice for you guys to see it. Sorry the short notice, but we just found out about this. And June 1st is coming quickly. It's all right, I'll read this.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Notice, take notice that the town board of the town of Unionville will hold a public hearing at the town hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, in the town of Unionville on May 17, 2018 at 7:30 o'clock on or as soon thereafter, so public comment can be heard on the town of Unionville Stormwater Management Program's 4th annual draft report. Take further notice that copies of the aforesaid draft report will be available for examination at the office of the clerk of the town of Unionville at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, in the town of Unionville between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days, Monday through Thursday, and 9 a.m. to noon on Saturdays, between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time of the place aforesaid. So it will be next month.
So you have a motion to,
Do I have a, yeah, I need a second on this.
I'll second it.
You second it?
all in favor of the public hearing next month?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, aye.
Andrew, would you make sure this gets
Unanimously
published,
passes.
please?
You got it? She's got it, I
You
emailed it.
got it? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Anything else? All
That's it for now.
right, Councilman Frazier?
Actually don't have anything this week.
Okay. Councilwoman Kelly? It's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful. So, really exciting. We will actually hear from Ed tonight. So I got to participate in one of the Community Day meetings last Wednesday, building a lot of excitement for our summer and our summer to begin. So I can't wait for him to tell you everything that's going on with that. A couple of things have come up through this past month. Something Dave and I were just talking about is the opportunity. We've been talking about our energy costs and lowering our costs, and that's what the LED lights were about. But there's an opportunity Westchester has been participating in for a community choice aggregation. Unfortunately, the meeting is tonight, so there's an option that we can reach out to somebody to hopefully set up another meeting to find out a little bit more about it. But to participate in something, apparently 5 other Dutchess County municipalities are already signed on to the aggregation. So basically, the community choice aggregates empowers local communities by allowing them, rather than the state, to select the default energy supply for residents and small businesses. As a result, municipalities can leverage aggregated purchasing power to secure less expensive energy, gain price stability, and source clean energy. New York State pilot program saved Westchester County residents more than $6 million since its inception of May in 2016, and is responsible for the largest purchase of renewable energy in state history. To date, more than 60 New York communities have passed local laws that enable them to establish this program. So it's something Dave and I were talking about. I know that Dave has sort of taken on solar, and he's reaching out to another supervisor, I believe in Esopus, you said. And so hopefully that's something we can participate in and seek some savings. Also for our seniors, there's just been lots of opportunities that have come up, lots of emails we're receiving. And I know that internet accessibility is not, every senior does not participate in internet accessibility, so, but we are trying to figure out how we bring in our seniors, disseminate all the information they need. So there are funds actually available to assist senior citizens with home repair. We have that information. It's based upon your family size and income limits, but we can pass that information along. So if you are a senior, if that would benefit you, Andrea has the information, Betsy has the information, I have the information. We would love to disseminate that. I think we can probably use our seniors group that meets at the park to try and do that as well. Also, we just have a lot of resources that come to us that are available as far as guides and educational materials, fire safety for someone who may be elderly, crime prevention for someone who may be elderly. We know, unfortunately, that seniors are targeted in phone scams and things like that. Yeah. So these are definitely things we want to disseminate. We want to be protective of the seniors we have in the community. We want to be empowering to the seniors we have in the community. So I was just having a brainstorming session with Andrea really quick as she printed me something. You know, and I know that not every senior has internet accessibility, but I'm wondering if on our website we could have something that just says, you know, special area for our seniors that they could click on where she can link, you know, some of these, you know, because these are like documents you would read or print, you know, that we can link some of these things and then as just a part of our step, and then figure out how to include seniors that may not.
That's a good idea.
And that would probably, like Andrew was saying, likely be maybe as we get the middle schoolers more linked to our seniors, and middle schoolers are savvy, and you know they can send these things to their senior neighbors, so or put them in their mailbox or whatever. But just as an area of maybe building on our website to pull in who we can, because hopefully some seniors would pass it on to another senior.
You should come to our communication meetings, because now that we have those communication meetings every Tuesday, we're trying to bring in all facets of who's communicating going out. And if you come to that, we can all figure out the best way to do that for the town. And then, of course, if anybody in the town has comments about how a relative of theirs or a neighbor isn't being reached, and maybe you have suggestions for us, we would love to hear from you. We've set up that Unionvale mail where we're asking people to sign up so we can send out a bunch of things. And we've got a website. We're adding more and more to it all the time. But we are, our weekly communication meeting has been helpful in helping us disseminate better. So why don't we, if you come to that, Karina, maybe we can help figure that out.
What time on Tuesday?
12:15.
Oh, so it's after the other meeting?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's also a lot of information for seniors on the Dutchess County website for the Office of the Aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could put a link on our website
Yeah.
so
To
that
that.
you get directly to the county
I mean, do
website.
people know even about that 211? So for seniors, you know, there's a 211 number that United Way. It's the county takes the call, the same place where the 911 calls, and then they send it over to United Way, and United Way.
Seniors that need rides to the doctor's office or, you know, the grocery store, anything like that, that are not.
They're trying to help.
Yeah.
And some of that we can try to help with locally. We've been talking about how we might be able to set up things that are closer to home to help out, but I think maybe we could actually use a group to help us with this. I mean, maybe some seniors would help us formulate our strategy, because we keep talking to the county about it, but we're not getting closure on some things. So maybe we should have a committee and get some residents' help on that. I think that'd be great. We'll ask for volunteers for that. Thank you, Karina. Now, did you have more you wanted to cover?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Councilman McMorris?
I got a few things. I'm going to start with Memorial Day. We have a Memorial Day service up at the Green every year. It's sponsored by the fire company. The town doesn't do that. One of the things that are going to be added this year is thanks to a donation from the Fusiliers Fife and Drum Corps. And it was delivered, Jake, I think you got it already?
Yesterday.
Right, yesterday, a brand-new flagpole, a real flagpole, not two pipes stuck
Oh,
together.
that's lovely.
That will be put up in time for Memorial Day.
And that was donated?
That's donated.
That's fantastic, thank you.
It's just going to cost us whatever it takes to put it in, and if you talk to me about that, we might be able to get the money for the cement and what have you.
That's great.
And along with a new flag for Memorial Day.
Oh,
But
excellent.
that's in memory of those that have given their lives from the town. The Fusiliers have always worked well with the veterans and what have you. So along with that, they're hoping to donate and have in time for Memorial Day a bugle that they're donating to the fire company that hopefully we'll be able to use at town functions for.
Maybe Community
flag
Day?
Maybe Community
Who's
Day.
going to play it?
It's all taken care of.
Oh, good.
It's all taken care of. Steve can play it.
Great.
But it's the same horn that the military now uses for their funeral services and what
Oh,
have
okay,
you.
Gotcha.
So that's being, again, donated. Now,
That's
going
nice.
along with that, I'm going to jump ahead to Veterans Day. We have a lot of veterans in this town,
Yep,
and we have nothing for the veterans in this town. We don't have a memorial, we don't have anything. I would like to propose, and I'm going to need permission of the board to proceed with this, put a walk of honor. That's what I want to call it anyway. Right now, out by the flagpole here in front of the firehouse, I have, or in front of the town hall, I have a contractor that's willing to do the excavation work for it. Hopefully at no cost to the town. And basically, anybody with veterans, past, present, maybe they're deceased, but, you know, they're not on, you know, they didn't do the ultimate sacrifice.
But
We
they
have a
serve.
lot of people that have served in this town, like your father,
And you?
and me, but, you know, that they can buy a brick and they can put it out, and it'll be just a nice little walk out in front around our flagpole. And again, it would be at no cost to the town, other than maybe helping to put it up, putting the bricks in place. And I'm sure I can get a little bit of funding for that as well.
that sounds great, Dave. Thank you, that sounds really lovely.
So, from there I went to Monday. Monday, Jake, George Kolb and myself went to Middletown to a seminar on the new energy requirements for homes. And that was 8 hours. You know, I have a lot more respect for George Kolb, because after those 8 hours of putting in there on solar, on, you know,
Home
clean
energy,
energy
yeah.
and home energy conservation, he's spending 3 days in Poughkeepsie going through new regulations that they have for state code enforcement officers. So I got a lot of respect for him. One of the things that was brought up there is the clean energy communities, which we are working towards. And in fact, that's why Jake, myself, and George went there.
Right?
We now have 3 out of 4 tasks that have to be done. We have one more that we have to do. And I'm working with Europa McGovern over, you know, with the Hudson Valley Council.
Right?
Is that what it's called? Hudson Valley Regional Council, on getting a 4th project. This money, when it's gone, and it's basically on a first come, first served. What we started out, what we would have been able to get in the beginning,
Thank you.
these numbers have dwindled.
Now, just back up and explain to us a little, just the project you're talking about. I mean, this.
All right.
This,
Well, the projects that we're looking at now would be, Tom and I have worked on it for a while. Tom's done a lot of work on it.
It's solar though, right?
Solar,
Not home energy. That was
not
a
home
different
energy.
seminar.
Well, I mean, this all comes under the Clean Energy Communities thing.
We're earning our stripes, so to
Right,
speak.
we're earning our stripes, and if you look through this with, that the town of Rochester did over in Accord, they're actually making money on this. Actually, they're making a lot of money on it, and Eusopus is making even more. Their landfill, we can't do anything with our landfill. It's there. You know, you can't sell it. The only thing you can do is lease it, and you can lease it for solar projects.
Right.
And I know, I think it was here in Rochester, they're making something like over 20 years, over $1 million from leasing out that property. They've got a lot more property than we have, so it
Right.
wouldn't be that much, but we would be getting money back from property that we can't use. Through a pilot program, they're getting credits for their energy. There is enough energy that can be produced up at that landfill that would cover our electrical costs, not the delivery, but the cost of energy
Okay.
that we would get in credits. And we would use those credits to pay the credits for the town.
Well, we had the gentleman that came in
Right.
and proposed.
He was,
quite interesting, and he had one, you know, he wanted us to take a look at that
actually,
plan.
that's the
and-
one up in Eusopus. I will be going up to
Okay.
Eusopus. I was talking to them up there. They went from a solar project on their landfill. They're putting in another one now. They did put in one at their town hall, but they did it themselves. They bought the solar panels, they put them in themselves, and after a few years, because they didn't know how to maintain them, they're in a little bit of a disarray, some of the things. By leasing out the property and having them come in and do it, we don't do anything.
Just collect the money.
We just collect the money.
So we're going to have to, I think what you're saying is that this has been a pet project of yours for some time, and that we had better get on the bandwagon.
Yes,
Because the funding is running
absolutely.
out, and if we're going to do something and utilize our landfill, we better get moving.
On the last page of this is Rochester they started about the same time I did on this. They now have theirs up and operational. They had it up and operational in January of 2018. It took about 2 years to get it going. It's not something that can be done overnight. There's a little bit of legal work and everything else that has to go along with it.
Right.
There's also a lot of work you gotta do with the utility to have them set up
The utility, right.
delivery system, right?
But we had the utility there that same day.
We had a big
And
day.
it just turns out, just so happens that Central Hudson's line ends right at our property. So
Oh.
they have the three-phase system
Right
right there. All they have to do is plug into that. It isn't where they have to run special lines or anything for the connection.
Well, I think what we have to do is more research on, because of our size, and we have to get a couple more
Well-
folks in here, like Paul. That was his recommendation. Have
Yes.
some more people come in and give us some quotes on the panels and all that stuff. So why don't we get working on that?
The thing would be, I guess we'd have to, put out an RFP, to get quotes on this, but I'm hoping John will come with me to a few of these
Yeah.
towns, and we'll sit down and we'll talk with the supervisors and the people that set up the programs,
Get the inside story.
get the inside story to see just what we have to do. Eusopus in particular, what Karina was talking about, the community aggregate, I've heard about that in the past.
Right. We
Again,
talked
this-
about it that day.
Yeah, this is a thing that, again, it's the fourth project, the fourth task. If you get involved in something like that, it puts us at the head of the list with the clean energy communities for getting grants and grants, basically,
Okay.
and if need be, low-cost loans from the state to proceed with clean energy. So I'd like to pursue that.
Okay, I think you should, and we'll help you out.
But I think that's pretty much what I had for,
All right, well, let's follow up on this. And and you and John can go visit some and give us a report, and we have to look at all the technical sides, but we'll definitely follow up on it. I think it's a great idea. Okay, thank you, Dave. Town clerk.
Okay, we have our shredding day, our annual document shredding day, which is scheduled for May 23rd. It's a Wednesday. You can bring as much as you want. It begins around 10. The company has another job they have before, so they never know exactly when they're going to be here, but they're anticipating between 10 and 11. So get here at 10. You're more than welcome to drop off your items with us ahead of time. You can leave them the night before, the week before, whatever you're comfortable with, and we'll make sure that they go into the shredding truck. And it will be on our website as well.
Great.
And tax collector we kind of covered, so.
No, actually, you were telling me about the percentage.
Yeah, Joe Miller had reported that we're about at 90% collected for town of Uniondale.
That's great. All right, thank you. All right, public comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say about the agenda items tonight? Yes.
Ann McCabe, Darren Road. I believe that there will be a discussion of town, under old business, of the digital signage for the town center and neighborhood commercial districts, and that was talked about at the last meeting.
Yes.
At that time, I made the suggestion that while we're dealing with signs, that we cover the issues that go on with electioneering signs. It was very controversial last year. Our current rules about those need some changing because the rules themselves are impossible to enforce. If the signs can't go up before a month before the election, and then if there's a violation, you give the people who are in violation 30 days before they have to take the sign down, I think we can all see that that just doesn't work. I would like you to include that in the discussion. I'd also like to congratulate all the great work that's being done in energy by so many people in the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Okay, then we'll thank you all. We're going to switch over to our committee reports, and the first one up is our Community Day Committee. Ed, if you could come up and sit right here next to Councilman Frazier, that would be great. Ed Cash is the chair of our Community Day Committee, and we're thrilled to have you join us tonight, Ed. Thank you for coming.
Hello, everyone. Betsy was generous enough to ask me to chair the Community Day, which many of you have probably been to in the past. Surprising, what? Address the, oh, sorry, okay. I had actually not been to one, because this is my first full year having lived here. But I was very excited to take on the opportunity, and we've done some very exciting things. Our main goal was to bring the community back into Community Day. So it was to involve more residents, bring in their expertise, their ideas, and it's been a success so far. We meet each Wednesday. We have wonderful members of the community. Some of them are here today, Andrea, some of them work at the town hall, who are here each week, and we have come up with some exciting things for the town. The first thing, maybe the biggest change as in years past, is that we've split the Community Day into two separate events. We have Community Day, which will take place on Saturday, June 2nd. And then we have Community Night, which will be on June 22nd, which is a Friday. I believe the local high schools all get out that week. And Arlington, I know for a fact, graduates that Sunday. So just to discuss Community Night real quick, because that's more of a simple task.
Yep.
That'll be from 6 to when the fireworks end after 9 o'clock. We're going to have a tailgate set up outside of the town hall here where people can park their trucks, SUVs, cars. They can tailgate, or they can sit on the hill and watch the fireworks as they go off. And we're going to have one or possibly more food trucks that will be available. And it's going to be a really exciting night. We have amazing community members who have taken care of the fireworks in years past, who I haven't had the pleasure, I don't believe, of meeting yet. And
That's the Unionville Business Association, and Ken Andrews and Mary Lou DeForest, our former town clerk, is joining Ken Andrews to, get all of our fireworks supporters in again this year.
yes, so, I mean, we expect that to be a smashing success. And, I don't know if I should go into this, I don't know. The main reason we split the two events is because we thought it would be difficult for people to show up at 11 a.m. or noon on a Saturday and then stay through the fireworks ending at around 9:30. We didn't want families to have to feel like they had to go home with their children and then try to come back. We didn't want to wear out the volunteers, the townsfolk that are going to be there, and we just thought this was a fantastic idea to add another event to the town schedule and really use this amazing park that we have here. And Community Day, which has had a lot of work put into it, that'll take place on Saturday, June 2nd. It will begin at noon. That ties into the opening of our pool here at Time War Park. So that was an exciting coincidence. So we are coming up with a schedule of events for that day, breaking it down. Once we have that, I'm sure we'll...
Well, you've got some of them, right? You want to share those?
We do have some of them. The actual hour-to-hour breakdown
Yeah.
of how things will come to be, we'll discuss later. But when the event opens, we're going to have the pool. We're going to have local vendors, hopefully 20-plus, with tables set up to either sell their wares or have activities for local children. The fire department is involved. They're going to have their truck here. Their smokehouse is going to be set up. We're hoping to get the local police department, Troop K, involved. We have the equestrian center. Will be set up with a number of events, as well as an equine trade show set up in the barn down there. The equestrian center we're hoping will host all of our animal-related activities. We'll have the horse pulls, which have always been there in years past. We're also hoping to have a petting zoo, as well as ponies and some other events that are involved in that area.
Painted ponies.
Perhaps a police dog. So that will be exciting. We're going to have a hayride that will be running the entire day that will bring people directly from down at Time Warp, or what that area is designated as. Down where the playscape is.
Yeah, next to the fire truck, actually.
Band
It'll come down.
shell.
Yeah.
And a hayride will bring residents up to the equestrian center, so not everyone will have to walk if they choose not to. We're going to have an antique car show, which I believe Mr. Welsh, or Councilman Welsh over here, is a part of.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're coming up with a number of activities for families. It's really our big push. We're trying to have we're planning on having family-style Olympic Games where parents and children get to participate in fun games together. We're going to have sports skills competitions where I've reached out to our two high schools, and the athletic directors are going to work with having athletes from the schools here to help. We're going to have a pie eating contest. Correct, Andrew? Pie eating contest, hopefully for children and adults, and a volleyball game to make use of the volleyball court we have. And our big event, which Holly here is heading, is a scavenger hunt, where we're going to have a number of clues, some simple, some more puzzling, where we're going to make use of all of Time War Park. So the trails, the furnace that's out there, the museum that we have here, and what we're going to have is, people are going to register, they're going to get a sheet of all their clues, and they're going to have a 2-hour period to go around and find each of these clues, and they're going to have to take photos on their phones of themselves with the clue or at the area where the clue is, and then report that back to us, and we're going to go through and make sure they have them all, and we're going to have a prize for the victor.
Prizes, yeah.
We're trying to get it so that actually all of the little activities that we have a prize, whether it's small or large, tied to it. And then at the end of the day, we're going to have a closing ceremony. We're That's who will make some remarks. We're having the Arlington Jazz Bands will be there. Arlington's Color Guard will also be there for the morning opening ceremonies. But the main thing is, to get out of the minutia of it, is we're really working on getting community members back involved with this. I think it's exciting that, having been here only a year, I was asked to chair, but our committee is made up of people who have lived here their entire lives. And so it's a great group, and we really hope that a lot of townsfolk come out for the day and enjoy it.
Come and
And
spend
then in future years, we can grow it to something even more successful.
Well, we're really pleased that you took on this chairmanship, and we appreciate it. It's going to be a fun day for people. They can come and bring their coolers and hang out and play these games all day and listen to some great music by the pool. So it's really terrific, and thank you, and the rest of the people on the committee for doing it, because we think it is going to be a fun day. So thanks for all your hard work. You're here every week, and you're planning a lot, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Ed, for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks a lot.
See you on Wednesday and June 2nd.
Yes, hope to see everyone there, and June 22nd for the
That's right.
fireworks.
Community night. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we're going to have departmental reports, and first, we're going to start with the Parks Department and Jake Gosnell. Hey, Jake.
Hey. So is this a report, or is this we're just talking about the number?
You can do both. You can do whatever you'd like to
Whatever
do,
you want.
but we
Whatever
have
you
to
want
we
to
have
tell
to
us.
talk about the mower,
There's
but
a
you
lot of
can
rain
talk
coming.
about whatever you'd
There's
like.
the report.
There's a lot of rain. I just want everybody to be aware of that. We finally got Tom finally was able to line up the soccer fields yesterday. The ball fields are a little bit wet right now. We were out there last week, and then we got poured on.
There were
a couple
kids
of
up there
times this
today
week.
getting rained on, running around the field up there, which is great.
Yep, so we're working on it. It'll get there. It's really wet. It's supposed to dry out this weekend.
Great.
But yeah, things are going.
You're taking some trees out?
Yeah, we had a couple of trees come down over the weekend in the wind, so
You guys have been busy. Thank
Always
you,
something.
thank you.
yeah, we're always going. And then everybody has in their packets proposal from Grassland. We have two large area mowers at the park, and one of them is over 20 years old and is past the end of its life, but is getting there, and we need to upgrade before we're left with only one, and then we're kind of scrambling all summer and can't keep up with things. So after shopping around for a while, this is what I came up with. It's cheaper than the mowers that we bought in the past. So, if we were to upgrade, or if we were to buy another one of the ones that we already have, it would be about twice this cost. And this was something that, in talking with our representative Chris from Grasslands and Toro, this was a good mower. He let us demo it last year for about a week. He brought it out, dropped it off. Works very well. So you have it in front of you. This is on bid. It's New York State bid through the Toro Corporation.
So the pricing is the best we can get.
Yep.
Okay. So it's $47,052.54, $47,000. And Jake had come to me, and I told him that we would take a look at how we would finance it, because we wouldn't want to use that much cash at one time. I have sent this out on Unionville Mail before, so some people that get that have already seen this, but just so that the town board members, you guys have a list, just so that you can see where we stand. There's a sheet of long-term liabilities in your packets, and you can see from there that we have the bond everybody's familiar with, which is part of that was involved with closing down the landfill that they're still paying off. In addition, we have a lease purchase on a Ford truck, and that is ending in 2020, but the lease purchase on the constable's car is actually over next February, just so you know. So those $1,681 payments that are paid quarterly will be finished next February. So that's a good thing. I think we're in pretty good shape there. So when Jake approached me and asked me to work with him on this project, one of the things I did was, I'm not sure everybody in the town everybody recognizes there is municipal funding for projects like this. We don't have to go out into, getting funds that are not considered municipal. That's why that GSG contract kind of surprised me, because we don't ever have to do that as a municipality. But anyway, what you have here with the green boxes, there are 4 quotes. We have done M&T Bank. Let's start at the top. M&T Bank was the high quote. The Ford, that Ford is actually Toro. Sorry about that. I'm reading that now, and it says Ford. That's Toro Equipment Finance. They also were kind of high, but they offered to do a lease purchase when we decided to go with Toro as a brand, when Jake did. Now, Real Lease Municipal Purchase Company is somebody that we have used before, because Lizette will remember them, because we've actually got 2 of these Fords on there. And then one of the beauties of having a relationship with a local bank is that you can go and talk to the local bank about financing something like this. And what was wonderful was the Bank of Millbrook came in with the lowest quote. So, and they really value the relationship. They're the type of bank that wants to extend good rates to their clients, because we do our banking with them. So what we have with the Bank of Millbrook, we have the first 3 quotes are lease purchases. The 4th quote is a ban. Now, at 2.25, that 2.25% interest rate for 5 years, it sounds attractive. It may, and I think it sounds quite attractive at 2.25. But the thing about bans, as you guys know, is that they get renewed every year, and the rates can change every year. And I happen to think, we all know that we're in rates are going up. We're in an increasing environment. And I'm not sure it's the best time. Maybe over 2 or 3 years, the thing averages out just fine. But expressing that concern to the Bank of Millbrook, they immediately came up with a 4-year plan, which was an installment. They call it an installment bond, but it's their way of making it like a car payment. And at 2.75%, the payment, the monthly equivalent is $1,000. So it looks high on a monthly basis, but look at the total payments. It's the best. We'd be paying $2,600 in interest over the time period, and it's a terrific deal. So I'm really pleased that we have a relationship with that bank and that they value our business, and I think this looks very attractive. So, and this is the kind of thing where the supervisor would have to sign a paper, and then they just take the money, put it in our account, and we pay Toro right away, or Grassland, your state bid operator, your contractor. So that is how we propose financing the Toro mower. And there's a resolution that we can discuss now, or we can wait and do it at the end when we're going through all the resolutions. Just anything else you wanted to add? Let me ask you, Jake, what's the life expectancy on that mower? Is it going to be like the other one, given that it's not as expensive? Or
I mean, I think we got very lucky with one lasting 20 years. I mean, we maintain our equipment. So I would say, 10, 15 years is a good, lifespan on something like that, especially with the amount that we mow here. I mean, once we get that will run 5 to 6 days a week, all summer long, from probably next week through November. So that's a lot of hours on a mower every year. So yeah, 10, 15 years probably.
Okay. And Steve, you're familiar with this product, aren't you?
Right, I actually purchased the identical unit this past season at my job, and the advantage of this machine is it will mow areas that the other mowers can't get into, and you previously had to do by hand. So it increases the efficiency of the department at the same time.
Great. Okay. I think that sounds good. We might want to go ahead and just get some closure on this. If you look in your packages, resolution. It's behind local law number 3, the introduction of local law number 3. If you could pull that out. And Steve, maybe you would read this one for us?
Yeah, it's going to take me a minute to get to it. Well,
Here,
here,
you hand that
it's
oh, you got it?
outside,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Resolution approving purchase of Toro mower for Timor Park. Whereas the Town of Unionville Parks Department is in need of a new large-scale mower and has selected a Toro brand mower for $47,000 from the low-cost provider, Grassland Equipment and Irrigation Corp., using the state bid process. And whereas the Town of Unionville Town Supervisor has obtained price quotes for the purchase of said mower and is recommending that the town finance the mower using Bank of Millbrook, since they offered the best financing option for a 4-year installment bond. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby accepts the purchase of the mower and the loan quote with total payments not to exceed $49,686 and authorizes the town supervisor as chief fiscal officer to sign for the loan. And I'll make that motion.
Great.
I'll second.
A second? Okay.
I
Roll call.
I just have one question.
Discussion, yeah.
What is in the equipment line? Is it like approximately $12,000 in the equipment line of the budget?
Oh.
Or are we taking from contingency?
No, it's a good-
Contingency, or,
No.
like, I'm sorry, I didn't have.
We have, thank you, Karina, it's Councilwoman Kelly. It's a there's $5,000 for a down payment on this, and then there's $9,000 in the same budget line for payments. So we actually have it in the budget to make the payments for the rest of the year, and I thought if this passes tonight, then I can call them tomorrow, and we could use that down payment money and maybe perhaps even bring this lower. The resolution says that it won't go over that amount that they quoted us, but we have a little bit in there. We've got the payments covered for this year, so it was right in the budget. Thanks for bringing that up.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just am curious, do you have any other needs for that equipment money on that line? Or is that,
No, at this
That'll
point,
work with you,
that'll
okay.
work, yep.
I mean, since we have more, we have enough for the payments and for a down payment. We don't need to make, with the Bank of Millbrook and the product that they came up with for us, we don't have to make a down payment. If you want to keep a little cushion in there,
They say you never know what could break
in case
down.
something
Yes.
breaks or you want it, then we could save your down payment and use that to back you up.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, that came from the auction funds that were supposed to be,
Back in
put
your-
aside
Yeah.
for that. So that would be great if we have
Okay.
that and we came up with a good enough interest rate, that would be great.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with the Bank of Millbrook. I think they went overboard for us, and given what they structured, we will not need to use your down payment, and it's a very good interest rate, and we can handle this.
That would be great.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, why don't we have a roll call vote?
Supervisor Moss?
Aye?
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly?
Yes.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Walsh?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Resolution,
Who did all the nice digging on the interest rates?
I did.
Oh, very good,
That's my job. I think that's my job.
very good.
Thank you. Okay, resolution approving the purchase of the Toro mower passes unanimously. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you very much.
If it ever stops snowing, you can mow.
Yeah, really.
Snowing,
It
rain.
won't get as much use as it was supposed to because of the rain.
Have it ready for September.
Yeah. Okay, next on our agenda item is the Recycling Center and Earth Day efforts. Joining us, Tom St. Ange. Hello there.
So the Unionville Recycle Center invites all citizens to celebrate Earth Day by participating in our first annual town-wide cleanup weekend on April 21st and 22nd. Orange bags and safety signs will be available at the Recycling Center from 8 to 4 on both Saturday and Sunday. You can bring the orange bags full back to the Recycling Center, or you can leave them on the side of the road, and they will be picked up with help from the Highway Department and the Parks and Rec Department. We've tried this before. It's not necessarily the first annual, but
Right.
so it was 13 or 14 years ago. It was very successful, and it just didn't continue, so we hope that it will continue after this year.
I'm glad you're restarting it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's been a while.
And
Plenty of
anyone that
stuff
can't
along the
make it can
roads.
take a bag down.
Right, there's orange bags back here. There will always be orange bags at Town Hall, and not just this weekend, but anytime throughout the year.
People want 'em.
People can come, grab a bag. It doesn't have to be orange. They could use their own, black bag or whatever color they want. And some residents actually do it year-round, and it always gets picked up.
And if they leave this orange bag or whatever, the town is supplying orange bags free of charge, so people can come and get their orange bag. They leave it on the side of the road. The Parks Department, the Highway Department is picking them up. They're starting Monday morning.
Correct.
All week, they'll be picking them up.
Right. People can come back to the recycling center, especially if they've borrowed some safety equipment, a sign, cones, pickers, whatever.
Oh, you have all that you'll hand out?
We have a
Some?
limited number of tools for people, but we do have some stuff. We have 25 signs, nice big ones.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So when they come back with that stuff, they can tell us where they've left their bag, or they can call 629-6519, leave a message as to where they cleaned up and left their garbage.
Their bags.
Right, and the
And
highway
this
department
is-
will get that.
This is on the website. I'm pretty sure we put it on the website. I know we've emailed it out to people. But don't you have kids that are going to be working at the recycling center?
We have kids from Unionville Middle School, 8th grade honor key.
Oh, how wonderful.
Right, so people have signed up for 2-hour blocks to be at the recycling center. We'll have a tent. We'll have a large map of Unionville where we can highlight the roads that have been cleaned up. There's also some high school National Honor Society seniors who are coming to assist with that as well.
That's fantastic.
Left already.
You knew you were going to talk about them.
So we have a lot of help at the recycling center. I hope it's busy enough that everyone, feels like they're busy.
It couldn't happen at a better time. I mean, I think when the snow melted, there seemed
Yeah.
like there's trash everywhere. We're so glad for your efforts,
So if
Tom.
people want to get out and their neighborhood's not bad, such as mine, our road isn't that bad. My son and I have been doing South Parliament Road for a few years. It's awful there.
Is it?
Yeah, Route 55 through town is terrible.
It's
So-
the route to the recycle center.
Yes, it's true.
What is it, falling off the truck?
There you go.
People don't secure the load, and yeah, you can tell when things are just
Really?
popping out
Oh,
of
yeah.
those trucks, yeah.
Brusco Road gets hit hard.
Right, so Brusco Road, North and South Parliament, Walsh Road, just the main, the main well-used roads. Waterbury Hill I have on here, Wisman Road, especially near Route 55, Canby Road, and North Clove Road. Those are, what I've seen is the worst roads. The county is going to be out today, tomorrow, the weekend, and next Monday and Tuesday, and they posted a list of county roads that they're going to try to take care of. And Clove Valley Road, County Route 9, Clove Valley.
Dennis Finney's church has kind of traded off to do sections with the county.
Okay, so, and we travel that road every day to go to Godfrey Park, and it's,
Needs
some
it.
spots need it,
Need it. Yeah.
So hopefully that all gets done, that'll be great.
So for our efforts, for our residents, we should focus on the non-county roads because the county's going to be out on a lot of the, well, they're not going to be out on a lot of our Unionville roads. I think they picked one.
That's right.
So it's,
Yeah, we should focus at where
all
there's better.
roads are game for us.
Right, so we'll have enough help at the recycling center from Arlington. What we need is just people just to put time in and pick this stuff up, so.
Get out there on Saturday and Sunday. And if they want company, they can come over and hang out at the
I
recycling
hope
center
they
and
do.
commiserate.
Yeah, right.
All right.
We'll also have a dedicated dumpster so that we can see how much volume we've collected, and we can get a weight on it as well, so.
Oh, that's great. Well, will you come back and let us know how well we did? I hope we do really well. Thank you, Tom.
I'll see everyone this weekend.
We'll see us this weekend. We'll be out. All right, thank you very much.
Good project.
Great project, yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have some additional Recreation Department updates that I think Councilwoman Kelly's giving because Jessica Dickinson is out of town. She's on vacation.
Yes, so I tell Jessica whenever I make her report, I never do her justice. I don't have that much energy, especially at this time of night. But the parks
try.
are really about to kick off. There's a lot of exciting things happening. Youth Fishing Derby is coming up just next Sunday on the 29th, so we do have a flyer. You could see it outside as well. In the interest of getting the community involved, we have a young farmer who was 2 years ago reported Farmer of the Year, I believe.
Yes, he was.
And so Will Woolley, so he's agreed to sort of be the MC for the event, so he'll be weighing the fish. He's young, the kids can get excited about it. So that's 8 to 12 on the 29th. We're excited for, the kickoff of that. The full moon hike is going off on the 30th. On May 5th, we have Love Your Park Day at Godfrey Park. It has lots of activities. At 12 p.m., it'll start with a community picnic. At 1 p.m., there'll be a cleanup just directly related to the park, about a kindness cleanup to take a walk around the park. And then a community kickball game at 2 o'clock. So, as far as whether it's people you work with, and it's your friends, or it's your family, to come together and sort of enjoy like a fun, just old-fashioned game of kickball. That was never my favorite section of gym, so I will not be playing kickball.
Should we clean
But
up?
we just have lots of events happening. With that, we also have lots of volunteer opportunities. So if you'd like to volunteer, if the fishing derby is something that was special to you or something you want to participate in, we would love for you to come on board as a volunteer. You can just contact Jessica at the park or make contact with Andrea and she'll get you in touch with her. We would love for as many people to come out to Godfrey Park. We're really trying to pull the parks together. Timor Park is a great park and it's huge, but it's not our only park in town. And so we really want to show some love over at Godfrey Park. So we would love for as many people to get over there, to participate, to be able to, if you can't make it that day, maybe you're willing to call Jessica and say something else you're willing to do on another day. Also, we have Homeschoolers Day at the park on June 13th. It's in the middle of the week, so some people have difficulty with work. I know I've already volunteered. I'll be one of the volunteers there for that day. I actually have some friends that homeschool, so it'll be great to check in with them. And, you know, so if anyone wants to volunteer for that event, those are lots of opportunities to be a part of our park, pull things together as a community. In order to bring our community in, it means the community has to be there. So if you have ideas, if you want to come and give your energy as a volunteer, if you can't, but you have an hour to give it another time, I am sure Jessica can find something for you to do.
Great, thank you. And one other thing I thought was interesting, we do so much for children.
I forgot.
Yeah, but we do a lot for children. Our summer school programs over there are fantastic, but we have been trying to come up with more programs for seniors and for adults, frankly, just for adults. And so Jessica turned her adult craft night into an adult paint night, and they had 30 people last week for adult paint night, which is was the best. You know, you can bring your own wine if you want. You can sip some wine and paint, and there were 30 people there. So if you do have ideas or things like that, look on the internet, look on their website. And but some of these are catching on, and we'd love to have more. So if you have ideas, send them our way.
Yep.
Thank you
And
very
our
much.
baseball fields will be busy because they are rented out. So now our soccer fields and baseball fields will be full in swing when this rain finally clears out.
Great, thank you very much. Now we're going to move into old business. The first item up is the state law affecting farm operations, including wine, beer, et cetera. We discussed this at our last meeting. And what we had said to everybody at our last meeting was that we were going to do some homework and perhaps come up with another local law. I know that our code enforcement officer was asking us for a path that he could walk on and how he could work with local farmers that wanted to have a distillery and have a winery and then ultimately have a tasting room on their property. He wasn't really sure how to handle it because it's not specified in our town code. Thank you to Jeff Battistoni, our town attorney on my left, who did a lot of homework, and the Ag and Markets people up in Albany, the town board. You all have gotten a memo that I wrote summarizing why, in our opinion, we don't need to have a local law. We don't need to do anything. And primarily it's because that and you'll see behind the memo there is a guideline for review of local laws affecting farm operations. And in that, the Ag and Markets Department has pretty much said that the state law could possibly preempt whatever we came up with. That these farmers, we would be unnecessarily restricting them and they could overrule us. That's one thing. But basically what they informed all of us, which I thought was a great learning experience, the production, preparation, and marketing of products on these farms is something that they're allowed to do. So marketing, even if you're going to have a tasting room on your property, or you're going to have a wedding, even if you want to have an event, as long as the product that you're producing is like the central thing. I guess that means you'd have to have a bottle of apple brandy on every table. But whatever you're producing is the purpose for the people getting together, or at least highlighted when people get together. You're allowed to do it as a farmer. So we're recommending that because farmers can grow and they can process and they can market their own products, and the Ag and Markets law is very clear, we are recommending that we do nothing right now in regards to our farmer in Clove Valley that wants to take his apple brandy farm and expand a little bit, it's not even very much space, into a tasting room. And I think one of the things that we will learn from this, it would be terrific. I think everybody we've spoken to is very excited about the fact that multiple landowners may choose to do this. And if it does become something that Unionville residents are excited about, and if we at some point see where the health and safety of the residents are affected because of traffic or noise or something, then we can then step in. At any time, we can step in and make some special event permit restrictions, or we can require an expedited site plan review before the next person comes in. We have tools in the toolbox. But right now, the suggestion is just let it go and allow the state law to prevail and let our farmers move forward with any of these initiatives. And if we see something, or if somebody complains, or we get, 1,000, 10,000 people coming to an event, then we'll step in. But until then, did you guys all get this and read this? If anybody has any questions? All right, this was also emailed out, so if anybody else has questions, they can read it. Did you guys have anything you wanted to offer? Did you feel comfortable with not passing a local law at this time?
Sounds like a simple solution,
Yeah,
thanks to Jeff's research.
yeah.
Programs like this can actually make Unionville a destination point and for tourism. That's always a good thing for us.
Absolutely, we can use that. So everybody's comfortable with letting it lie right now? Okay, okay, great. All right, well, that was, that's why nobody got a resolution. That's why we didn't post anything about that after doing the homework. We're going to move it forward that way. Now, we also discussed potentially having a resolution or an introduction of a local law, a resolution to have a local law on digital signage for the town center and neighborhood districts. And I think we need a little bit more time to talk about this, given some of the comments people have made to me, some phone calls that I got. And I think we can talk about it and either, I think the main thing from what people have said to me is there's a few things in this digital sign law, or the changes, the digital changes, that I think that maybe if we tweak this a little bit, it would help. And the few things again, I'm quoting some people. We had looked at number 8, where it says that they shall not be illuminated or contain flashing, intermittent, rotating, or moving light or lights. We have our town code prohibited that, and I think based on the fact that the town center is very different from neighborhood commercial, that we may want to separate those two things out. The comments I got were involving flashing lights in the neighborhood areas. And that's number 8. And also number 10, where they talked about a 20-foot high sign in town center and neighborhood commercial. So they kind of, again, both of those things, it was recommended that we lump them in. And I think based on what some of the thoughts were of the people in the neighborhood, were, I don't want flashing lights in the neighborhood, is what some people said, and no need for a 20-foot sign. And I know that when George put this together, the town center and Be Wise and trying to facilitate them, it sounds most people are in favor of that. Everybody knows that they're out there by themselves and they want to do it. But we've kind of hindered that by lumping it in with neighborhood commercial, because there is some, there are people that don't agree with that. I did go and spend some time with the gentleman that bought the Hitzman's Garage and asked him what his sign was going to be, and got some information from him. And he is not interested in anything flashing. He just wants the LED capability to have from the computer inside the garage, he wants to be able to change the pricing. It's not going to flash. It's not going to be, he doesn't need 20 feet. He said he doesn't need, his sign will be 92 inches. And he can change, the pricing will be underneath, and so people driving by can see it. It's 92 inches is not high enough to go into the, he felt that was short enough so it won't affect the houses across the street in Burbank on the green, and it won't affect the people behind him. So he doesn't need the 20 feet, and he doesn't need flashing, and I think when this was put together, that was one of the primary businesses that was being considered. So I think if we separate those two out, we can take care of this, and unless there's other comments you have, because we were reading an extensive thing here. Everything, all the other changes in here seem fine, but I think we need, if we can work through those.
Yeah, I think we could work through those, move forward on it, maybe the next meeting.
Okay, the next meeting, and if there's if there's a need for an expedited, and we have to do something sooner, maybe we could even do that if we want to get BY started. But suggest that we read through this one more time, all of our changes. If we're going to do it at the next meeting, we can do it then. We'll talk about if it's needed to be done on an expedited way and to help BWise out. I think that most of us, if their schedules are permitting, we're happy to help you out. But we'll post it there will be a public hearing, and there'll be an introduction of the resolution and a public hearing, so we'll do it the proper way and get it done. Okay? All right, so we'll talk about that soon. keep the neighborhood happy and keep the town center happy, and we'll be in good shape. All right, as far as new business, we have, the town board knows, we have two, you guys have in your packet, two facility rentals to review.
Right.
Now, again, this was, I can give you these in a nutshell. Jessica turned them into me. One of them is for 400 people. I don't know if you want to see that. 400 people want to rent out Timor Park for the Millbrook High School reunion. And they're actually renting everything, the large hall, senior citizen hall, small pavilions are, large pavilion, and the bandstand. And I had asked Jessica in preparation for this meeting, since we were waiting to vote on this, to hear the comments that Jessica would have made. The people that want to rent it, they're in the process of making clear policies about alcohol for their guests, specifically a zero tolerance policy for driving home. They were going to have a taxi service and Uber option available, as well as checking IDs to ensure safety. They're going to have a list of all people that are in attendance, have RSVP that they're expecting. They're going to have insurance for the group, and we'll submit the certificate of insurance for us to keep on file. They're happy to put down an extra amount for a bond since it's such a large party. And, you know, they're going to need traffic control, and the town board, I'm sure, will insist on that, so that's a point for us to discuss. They're talking about 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., so it's during the day. And I think those are the issues I asked her to get information about, so let's talk about this one first.
I think that number of attendants triggers the need for at least one constable, if not two. I think that's written in our user rule, our user regulations.
Yeah.
I think you're right, it'd probably be two.
Yeah, I don't see
There'll be a
that
lot of
listed
cars.
here.
Be a lot of cars.
Well,
And I'm looking at the page that, they have afterwards, and yes, they will need traffic control during high volume times. They're saying 10 a.m. to 12 noon, two constables, $20 an hour. But I think, considering that they're getting out of there at 6 o'clock at night, it probably would be a good idea to have constables on hand when they're leaving, just for those that don't adhere to
The policy, the liquor policy?
Maybe persuade them not to drive.
Right, well, they said they're going to have Uber and that sort of thing, but yeah, taxi service and Uber, but you're right, no, they're there to watch.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
I think the intent of the rental rules that we have in place is to have them present during the whole event
Okay,
with that number of people.
Yeah,
so two people from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
yeah.
Okay,
That's what we've done in the past.
okay. So we're recommending that. Is there anything else that you,
I hope they have good weather. I hope it's a good day for them, because I'm sure a lot of them are town residents as well. I mean,
well, they are, the person organizing it
in
is
the-
on
in
Tompkins
the
Road.
Washington School District, so.
Yeah. So they're on Tompkins Road, and that whole
Yeah.
northern part is the Millbrook School District, so there'll be a lot of people from all over, but they're organizing it. Is there anything else, any other comments that you'd like to make as far as stipulations? Definitely traffic control and constables on duty all day. We've got, they covered the insurance. I was a little worried about the insurance, I think. They're doing a good job.
Yeah,
I think they tried hard to cover all their
pretty
bases.
impressive, actually.
Yeah,
It looks like it's well planned.
okay.
My high school was a lot bigger than Millbrook, and our reunions aren't anywhere near this size. That's gonna think of it, it might have to.
Oh, that's great. That's a great way
I
to
don't
do
think
it.
their class sizes are that big, are they?
Well, it's a great place for a reunion like this, because
Sure
they're
is,
renting the whole
yeah.
place out, which is terrific. And they're not going to interfere with the pool.
Right.
They're not jumping in the pool, as far as we know, so the kids will be there, July 21st. Okay, so do we, this is a regular vote, right? I mean, would somebody make a motion that we
I'll make a motion
give
that
them
we approve the
permission?
application
I'll second it.
and stipulate we want 2 constables paid for the full
10 a.m. to 6, till they leave.
8
Yeah.
hours.
It's actually going to be more than 6 p.m. It's going to help everybody out, so it's going to be a little bit more like 7, or whenever, when the park is finished up. Okay.
I'll second it.
Steve second?
Somebody else already did.
That Councilman Morris, seconded? All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Second facility rental is for family, Ralph Vales and Don, I guess it's Mirko is the applicant's name. And they come over on July 7th is the day of the rental, and they do this every year. Apparently, they request a waiver for the fee because they have their Racing to Save Lives. It's a cancer fundraiser. It's a 5K and a 10K, and I think we give them this day every year. So I'm not,
Yeah, this is routine.
Yep.
I'll make a motion, we approve this application.
have a second?
The only thing is, I don't see a number of attendance on the application.
I believe because it's a race that people have to register for, he won't know until it gets closer.
Do we know what
Because
has
see
been the
this?
case in past years?
No, I don't.
I don't think it's been too substantial that we would know.
I think that number is 200, if I remember correctly, isn't it,
That's the
John?
cutoff, yeah.
Yeah, anything over 200 is going to require
Us
them to have the
approve.
constables.
So we can pass this motion if you so desire, and we will request in it that Jessica make sure that, 1 week before,
Right.
we know what the numbers are, and if it's over 200, that we include constables for the event.
Right.
Okay.
That works for me.
I
All right.
think on something like this here, if you talk to these constables, most of them, I'm sure a couple of them would volunteer. Since it's for a not-for-profit or something
Right.
like that, I'm sure a couple of them would
I'm
volunteer.
okay with that, I just want to make
That's
sure we
nice.
have somebody here. That's-
Okay. So we'll include that in the motion. And John, did you make that motion?
Yeah, I made
Yeah,
one.
and Dave seconded it.
Councilman McMorris seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we have, speaking of, the Burbank Gas and Provisions. So we have, in conjunction with the conversation that I had with the gentleman that has purchased Hitzman's Garage, he is, one of the things we talked about were the lights and the size of the lights and not a need for flashing, but we also talked about the need for, since he's a new employer in our town, to hire local. And the nice thing is he's very flexible. He wants the community to embrace this new establishment, and he wanted me to know that he's going to bring one manager in to manage this gas station when he renovates it. He's putting a lot of money into the renovation. It's going to be very attractive. It's the same design that the planning board approved, but I detect an upgrade in the quality of some of the materials, which is really nice. There's some stone and some things that he added that's beautiful. I think it's going to be an attractive location, but the main reason I wanted to talk to him was about hiring local, and he's going to have 6 jobs. He wants to hire 6 people, and he's aiming to get this thing up and running by the end of July. And he's going to let the town know. He was hoping we might, he's going to post it on his facility, on his building, and I guess he'll ask maybe a neighbor to come in and say, here's what the routine is for hiring. And I think, Mrs. Hitzman, you have a comment tonight that, do you want to come and, you want us to talk at the microphone? He's already started with one neighbor, and, or do you want to sit in the chair?
No, it's okay. Once I get a couple of steps going, I'm all right.
Okay, good.
I'm so happy there's a new business coming in,
Yeah.
and he seems to be amenable to doing things with the town. So I would suggest that the local residents have the opportunity to name our newest business, formerly known as Bud Hitzman's Garage. And it's nice to have somebody that will cooperate. Would be nice to have a naming contest for the Burbank Gas and Provisions to give the community a chance to suggest a business name they would like for the new business and be part of creating this new business in the community. The duration could be 1 month. We decide next month at the planning board meeting. I would suggest Burbank
board.
has to be in the name. All suggestions could be mailed to the town clerk's email, and people that don't happen to have email could drop them off at the office. I think I'm about the only person in the town that doesn't have email. And the owner has said he will give the person that we chose with the new name a tank of free gas, a sandwich, and a drink. So I think it's a step in his, he's holding his hand out, and it's a definite step in our direction to have another good business in the community.
Absolutely, thank you. So our placeholder name is Burbank Gas and Provisions, which is what he put on the planning, the map, the site plan. But what he's saying is, everybody's got 1 month. If you can come up with any other name that the community likes better with Burbank in the name, then they win. So, anyway, that'll be fun. And Andrea, you'll collect any submissions. All right. All right, that's great. Thank you, Lizette, very much. Next up, payroll and professional services. I just want to say that the town board is working on professionalizing our payroll. We have had some issues over, either the systems sometimes don't work. We've tried to really using a lot of oversight and multiple levels of checking to make sure that some of the payroll issues we've had are corrected. And, it's hard to do when the systems don't seem to cooperate. So we think it's about time we professionalize it. We're doing our homework to turn, we're looking at ADP and Paychex as, providers for this service. And we'll get back to you and let you know what we do. But we're certainly looking at, think it is be a welcome addition to our upgrading some of our services. Okay, resolutions.
We already did local law number 2.
We did local law number 2. We're ready to do resolution of introduction to remove Chapter 64 procurement policy from the town code to become a standalone policy. I'm going to recommend that Mr. Councilman Frazier read that, since that's the policy that you're championing for us. Thank you.
Local law of the town of Unionville, Dutchess County, New York, to amend Town Code Chapter 64 procurement policy. Be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Unionville that the Town Code is amended as follows. Section 1, all provisions of Chapter 64 procurement policy, Sections 1 through 6, are deleted in their entirety. Section 2, replacement text for Chapter 64, Section 1 shall read as follows. The procurement policy is a standalone policy on file with the town clerk and shall be reviewed and updated as necessary on a periodic basis by the town board. Section 3, this local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with this state's Secretary of State. Pursuant to the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, it will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this law. The following resolution is offered. Whereas on April 19, 2018, this local law for the town of Unionville, to be known as Local Law Number 3 of 2018, entitled the Local Law of the Town of Unionville, Dutchess County, New York, to amend Town Code by eliminating Chapter 64, Articles 1 through 6, hereby removing the procurement policy as town law to become town policy. Be it resolved that a public hearing be held in relation to the proposed changes as set forth in the form of notice hereinafter provided, at which hearing parties of interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard, to be held at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, Grangeville, New York, 12540, in the town of Unionville on March 17, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, and that notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Unionville by the town clerk at least 5 days before such hearing, and that notice shall be in the following form. Notice of public hearing. Take notice that the town board of the town of Unionville will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, 12540, in the town of Unionville on March 17, 2018 at 7:30 p.m.
May 17th. May 17th.
What'd I say?
March.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm just saying it for the record for
On
Andrew.
local law number 3 in the year 2018 to amend Chapter 64, Articles 1 through 6, procurement policy to eliminate the procurement policy from town law so it may become town policy. Take further notice that copies of the aforesaid proposed local policy will be available for examination in the office of the town clerk of the town of Unionville at the Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, 12540, in the town of Unionville, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days, Monday through Thursday, and 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Saturdays between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time and place aforesaid. And I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, how about a roll call? Any discussion about this? Anybody? All right, roll
I
call
just want to
vote.
say thanks to Steve for championing this procurement policy, seeing it through to this resolution.
And for the public, this simplifies our ability to change our procurement policy and make updates as needed. The way it currently stands, we have to go through a pretty dramatic procedure that also has expense to it, and this actually will allow us to make our changes without having to endure the expense.
Great. Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Okay, Supervisor Mott.
Aye?
Councilman Frazier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Councilman McMorris.
Aye.
Councilman Welsh.
Aye.
Great. Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you, Councilman Frazier. Next up, we have a resolution declaring April Parkinson's Awareness Month. Councilwoman Kelly?
So I just want to acknowledge, I believe this is the third year since I've been on the board, that Nancy Redkey has reached out to us to make April Parkinson's Awareness Month. So whereas Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurological movement disorder of the central nervous system, which has a unique impact on each patient, and whereas, according to the Parkinson's Action Network, the Parkinson's Disease Foundation, and the American Parkinson's Disease Association, and the National Institute of Health, there are over 1 million Americans diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And whereas symptoms include slowness, tremor, difficulty with balance and speaking, rigidity, cognitive and memory problems. Whereas, although new medications and therapies may enhance life for some people with Parkinson's, more work is needed for a cure. And whereas increased education and research are needed to help find more effective treatments with fewer side effects and ultimately a cure for Parkinson's disease. And whereas a multidisciplinary approach to Parkinson's disease care involves local wellness support and caregiver groups, and whereas April has been proclaimed as Worldwide Parkinson's Awareness Month for all who recognize the need for more research and help in dealing with devastating effects of Parkinson's disease. Now therefore, we, the town supervisor and the town board of the town of Unionville, do hereby proclaim April as Parkinson's Awareness Month in the town of Unionville.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Redkey, for bringing that back for the third year in a row. It's important.
Definitely important.
Very important. It's nice, I really like the descriptions and the fact that they educate you through the resolution. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
All right, it is at that point, do you want to approve the budget? Do I have a motion for that?
Motion to pay bills.
To pay the bills?
Yes, I'll make a motion for that.
Do I
Second.
have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Pay the bills? All right, I think that's a unanimous.
I just got one question, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I know I mentioned it in and when I was in my comments. Do I have the permission of the board to go ahead with, like I say, I want to call it the Walk of Honor, but, out here at the flagpole for
I would say
Veterans.
definitely from my perspective.
Putting the flagpole up in Burbank?
No.
No.
For veterans,
The
Walk
vet-
of Fame.
yeah.
Do you have any kind of
Give
a
us
artist
some,
rendering?
You need
We'll
it.
have an artist
Yeah, we
rendering.
need a drawing, yeah.
yeah, maybe for
I
the
mean,
next
yeah,
meeting,
as far
something
as that, yeah.
specific, so that,
But I mean, I just don't want to.
I like the idea.
I don't want to spin my wheels here and
Yeah, I hear you.
it not.
No, it's a great idea, and everybody would, I think, sounds like everybody's a favorite. We'll get it drawn, you draw it up, or we have somebody that can draw it, and for you,
Yeah.
and then we'll bring it in, and then what will everybody be allowed to buy bricks for a
They'll
family
be able
member?
to buy
And
bricks, in
But
memory
we don't have
of
somebody, we don't
or
have
for their-
anybody,
Huh?
we don't have anybody lined up that will memorialize a brick. Would they do that individually, or should we get some,
They would do it individually, or some of them I know will be purchased by donations for people that have passed that are known, like.
no,
Osprey
absolutely. But
Senior.
what happens a lot of times, I know down in Colonial Williamsburg or in colleges and universities, they'll have a company lined up that you can contact and tell them what you want written in there, so that way all the bricks
That'll
are
all be-
uniform.
That'll all be done.
Okay, well, if
Yeah.
you can line us up with all those details, Dave, it's a fabulous idea. So you want to, we'll do that at the next meeting?
Pricing.
Oh,
Why don't I put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
very good.
Gives you time, okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, so I believe we unanimously, or did we vote? And you-
I don't think we need to vote.
To pay the bills? No, to pay the bills. I don't think we finished that. We did vote? Okay. We passed.
We did,
Yes.
it passed. I
We didn't
wrote
vote.
All right.
We got.
I wrote
I thought we got interrupted on the vote. Okay, so I think, would you just, can I, all in favor of paying the bills, the warrants, and say aye?
Aye.
All right, we're done. Now, we're done with the paying of the bills, is what I mean. That passed unanimously. And next on the agenda, any public comments on town issues? Yes?
Ann McCabe, Darren Road. Ms. Moss, at the first meeting of this official town board in 2018, you urged your peers on the board to pay 50% of the supplemental insurance premiums for 5 retired persons affiliated with the town of Unionville. Although you never disclosed their name or affiliation with the town, you assured your town board peers that no one had told these retirees that they had to pay 100% of this supplemental insurance cost, as stipulated by the town code, the equivalent of the town constitution. The vote came as a motion, not a resolution, for Mr. Welsh, who voted to pay out these public funds for this year, not agreeing, as you suggested, to make this payment somehow grandfathered in. The town board voted to do so. At the end of that meeting, I tried to ascertain whether these 5 retired employees, people were employees of the town or elected officials. The difference was significant to me in terms of what a reasonable person might expect from each. One person is seeking a job where he or she will do his very best and where he or she will expect payment. The other seeking to become an official of the town. Your response to me that day was that these were staffers. That was not an answer to my question, so I used the Freedom of Information law for the first time to find out exactly who each was, what position each held, and when each retired. I discovered that all were, in fact, elected officers of the town, 3 having been town supervisors, 1 a town clerk, and 1 a town tax collector. All were ethically charged, I believe, by the offices for which they ran and which they held, and for the support which they had asked for people when they were asking for their votes, to follow the town code. Each, by virtue of his or her office, should have known that the town code was the final word on what was expected. So although I do have great empathy for these people and for all of us in these days of rising insurance costs, I find that the vote is essentially flawed that you took, because there was insufficient information given and misleading statements made before it was taken. I'm asking the town board to consider nullifying that. On a personal level, I believe that people can pursue happiness only if they have access to affordable health care. My personal solution would be a single-payer system. I acknowledge that most of you on this board don't agree with that. But I think that all of you on this board would
20
agree
seconds.
that using public funds to give certain people certain advantages, using taxpayer money, $18,000, is not good policy. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. So the next town board pardon?
Oh, was that?
Okay.
Not on that. But when Corinne said she'd like to encourage people to volunteer, Lizette Hitzman, North Clow Road.
You're volunteering?
I don't know if any of you here can remember the banks of the creek about 10 years ago. they were just about solid wild rose hedge. Just about solid. And the poor kids fishing got their lines caught. So when I was appointed and elected to the board, I took it upon myself to start battling that wild rose hedge. It took me 6 years to get the creek banks as clear as they are now.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I talked to the maintenance guys who didn't have time to do it, besides which they didn't want to get stuck. So I cut, and I told them I'd bring in some trucks, and they said, no, you cut it and push it to the side and we'll pick it up. So that has been our bargain ever since I was elected in 1996. And finally, the banks are just about clear enough. Every spring, I go and I cut back what is grown in the year before that would catch the kids' lines. And
For the fishing derby, that's great.
the
Just in
fishing derby,
time.
yeah. And the two things out in the stream, I thought they were just the roots of bushes. And Doug Niederkorn and I thought we'd pull them out one year, and we found out they're not the roots of bushes, they're tree stumps. So that's why they're still in the middle of the stream, and that's why I have to slosh out there every year and cut them back. But anyway,
Thank you very much for
Yes.
doing that. Thank you. Okay. The next town board meeting will be on May 17th. Our work session is on May 3rd. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right.